will start a few lines below the middle of the page, Kurhei. The line starts with the word hu-husagah hu-husagah. Al-Hasagah in Elokus, although it's Elokus, and we are clearly aware what we are dealing with. Elokus is not time and space dependent, and place dependent. And we are trying to, this is what we are projecting to understand. Yet still, it inevitably boils down and comes back into Mokim Zman. Because this is the limit of our Hasagah. And thus, our Hasagah, this is the last words that we're starting from, after these words, it is not at all kimahus, not at all as the reality of Hasagah Elyon, of the high Hasagah. Hasagah is a reality. I already spoke about this. Mahus means something real. Mahus means not as we might kind of project that Hasagah is entirely our own creation. We formulate the Sechel and formulate the structure of the Sechel. This is not correct. Hasagah, understanding Sechel, is a neshama quality, and it flows directly from a living soul. And there's nothing more real, as a matter of fact, in our life than Sechel. In our conscious life, there is Amunah and Rotz and Anoineg, but these are the precursors for Sechel. Ultimately, we get it in a Sechel level. Because Sechel is that moment where these truths are translated at our level, in our world parameters, which is Mokim Zman. All right. The example that we used yesterday to demonstrate the difference between a mitzvah after Matan Torah and the source of the mitzvah and the way the mitzvah existed before Matan Torah. Like we said in Prur Hu and L'Nitei Bro Yeshevet Yitzorah. L'Nitei Bro Yeshevet Yitzorah is not a mitzvah, does not bring Hashem in our midst, does not make him a participant in our activities. Prur Hu, this is why Prur Hu is a mitzvah. This is a mitzvah that only Yidden have. This is for the purpose of demonstrating what does it mean that this thing is brought down at our level in Mokim Zman, in a specific action. Reflecting on this, I thought we have a demonstration of this even closer to us. Something that we can even more readily relate to. Regarding Shabbos, it says, 6 days you may work, or you should work. In the seventh day you should rest. You should cease to work. Because Hashem did the work, created the world in 6 days. In the seventh day he rested. So this latter statement, that Hashem created the world in 6 days, and the seventh day he rested, this is the full explanation of the mitzvah of Shabbos. Let's say all the Torah would say, it didn't say, he would not give it the mitzvah of resting on Shabbos. We just tell us, listen, you're living in Hashem's world. Remember, Hashem rested on Shabbos. Would that constitute the power of what we have in Shabbos today? It would be a godly truth, but it would not relate to us whatsoever. And other expressions in the Torah that specific is Palad the mitzvah, that Hashem tells you, do not do any work on Shabbos, and rest on Shabbos, and all kinds of different expressions. That makes it a mitzvah. What is a mitzvah means? That now we have the Meibushin in our midst. The Rebbe is a participant, is present when we are doing this mitzvah. And we are representing Meibushin's presence by our doing this mitzvah. Although it's a clear thing, Rebbe created the world inside 6 days. All fine and good, but what does that have to do with me? How does that touch me? This is the pshat that it can be a truth, an absolute truth, but it's above our presence, the world in which we exist, in the world in which we function. We are emulating the way things are in a different reality. Whereas, this is in our reality. It was given right here in our world, in our Monday, so the 7-day week. It repeats itself every 7th day. Okay, let's continue inside now. Again, the line begins with hu-husagah. Hu-husagah AYIN. This is about
14 lines.
14 lines from the bottom? No, that's easy.
That was where we
were? We're still at 14 lines from the bottom. Udugma kozais, reflective of this principle, he klolus inyan hu-husagah dibiyah legabe hu-husagah d'atzilus. This is how hu-husagah in Biyah, in the world, in the created world, hu-husagah, the comprehension of Elokus in the created world, how it compares to the hu-husagah the way it is in Atzilus. We discussed briefly this principle of Atzilus.
To remain on this call, press 1.
To give him.
Returning to the conference room.
Sheine hu-husagah. Atzilus, which is not hu-husagah, is not at all in this presence of reality. We discussed briefly yesterday the principle of Atzilus versus Bria. Bria is a creation, Atzilus is an emanation. Just as at a lower level we have thought versus speech, we all can readily recognize how much closer thought is to the nefesh than speech. to the extent that thought, as mentioned recently, thought is a constant flutter. Machshava is a constant activity in the person's mind, brain. Whereas speech, speech has, you speak when you want to say something. Even in thought itself, there are different categories of thought. There's a thought that is an internal thought that is a process, so to speak, one's recognition of a truth, and then there's a thought where you formulate a thought how you're going to present it to someone else. It's also in thought, but it's a different level of thought. Then until it comes into speech, it's a completely different mitzvahs. So Bria, Yitzira, Asira, these three worlds below Atzilus start from the level of thought, and not the thought that is representative of the etzem, of the nefesh, but the thought as it is formulating to demonstrate something, to express something. This is why it's called bria. It's a creation. Creation means you're creating something that wasn't there before. You're retranslating this truth that you have in a different form, in a different level, so that it can become presentable. It becomes an entity unto itself. This is a thought. Even though thought is a constant process, but that's a different kind of level of thought. This is a thought which is part and parcel of your own truth. Atzilus is higher than even this all prevailing thought. Because Atzilus, this is totally representative of the in our mashal of the nefesh itself. The nefesh as they are in the nefesh. So that the understanding, the comprehension, the way it is in Atzilus, is of a totally different truth presence than it is in Bria. I want to focus in on the word kimahus, because we went into this quite extensively yesterday. The point is, we spoke about Chochmah and sight. How does it occur? I'm repeating what you said yesterday, I just want to put it into our current state. How does it occur that you could see a distance away from yourself instantaneously without having to process all the space between you and the place that you and that which you're seeing? It occurs because you are stepping into the truth of it, you're not observing it from a distance. You're recognizing its reality itself. The mashal that we have in a very tangible and experienced manner is, as you mentioned many times, you can be standing outside and observing whatever is occurring inside through the window. And you can be observing it in perfect detail. You're looking into a house, you're looking into a shul, whatever it is, you're looking into 770. And then you actually step inside. An interesting thing occurs at that moment, when you step inside. When you're outside, you're walking, looking to the window, you can see up and down, left and right, and further out. You can see everything, every detail. You observe, so to speak, a 360 degree periphery. When you step inside, in terms of observation, you can only observe that which is in front of you. That which is behind you, you no longer see. There's no way you can see it. Have you therefore lost your relationship to this place by stepping inside, because now you don't see behind you? So we all understand and readily. To the contrary, when you step inside, you have the reality itself. When you are standing inside and looking to the window, you just have to observe it. As an observing, yeah, you could see the whole 360 degrees, but you're seeing it as something is taking place in time and space. When you step inside, you're no longer in time and space. You are in it. The entire you're experiencing the entire reality.
This is illustrating. We got into this to give us
Atzilus is eine hu-husagah klal. The comprehension of Atzilus is not miphinas smokim klal.
And being inside the room is akin to Atzilut.
That's right.
And there's somehow less information with more reality, or this point that was made that you had before 360 degree view, now you have less. Is that
less information but more reality?
Is that okay?
But with this reality, you don't need information.
Right, and seemingly it would be total information or total.
It's not in the level of information anymore.
Right. It's more. Could you say it's much more subjective? There's less objective elements. It's like the thought unto itself.
It is superior to subjective and objective.
Okay.
Objective and subjective are all in your awareness and knowledge.
Yeah.
Here you are part of it. And it is part of you. You breathe its air.
Right. And that's why it was said, it's so immediate, that's why it was said it's beyond time and space.
That's right. It is beyond time and space. This is, I said.
To remain on this call, press 1.
That's quite interesting, because we talked about in that example you went inside at a specific moment you entered a specific place, yet it's become such a reality it's outside of.
That's right. This ability to enter into a place is our quality of Chochmah. Chochmah enables us to actually enter into this place. Bina would insist, hey, wait a second, where are you going? You don't have a wall. You hold on to the wall, and then you'll know where you are. Chochmah tells you, no. Wherever you turn, wherever you are, there's this reality with you. You're part of it. This is what I said, in sight, we are capable of observing and transversing and great distance, not feeling that we're at a loss. I'm looking 10 miles ahead. Is it real? Of course it's real. Because there you're relating to the reality itself, how it comes from as real reality. And here again, as I mentioned many times before, it is imperative to know that, to recognize that this is real. It's imperative that to recognize that this is a creation. This is not something that you're discovering by sight. It's never going to be real. You're relating to the Creator, to the real thing. This is why you're able to relate to it in all the time, instantaneously. I was born in Russia. Not only is it a different continent, different reality, and different government, so it's a completely different mindset, totally. Then I had to come to America. Then I relearned what it means to be in the world. It's the same world. Because the world here and there, they want to deny it, but that's the truth. It belongs to the same Creator.
Right, so what's the point there? Surely there was a learning curve. You get acclimated, language, culture, whatever it is, but yet it's based upon...
That's a periphery thing.
Right, it's based on the
being
fact,
able to inside, that's an inside.
the ability to relate to the new reality.
That took no time.
And that's because it's his world, it's his creation.
Took no time. B'dugma kozoi is now we're going inside. So we already spent all that time discussing it. Amir has a line of b'dugma kozoi similar to this. Similar to this, when we said that our hasogin elakus is only b'mokim. But in the truth, Elokus is not b'mokim. And Hasagah Elyeno is not recognizing Elokus in mokim. Elokus is above mokim. Nothing gives place for Elokus. Nothing permits Elokus to be. And the Gemara says, "Hu mekoyme shaloylam ve'in ho'elam mekoyme." He gives a mokim. He gives a right of being for everything. Nothing gives a right of being to him. Obedugma kozois, in similar manner, he klolus hine ha'asogah de biyah lagabe ha'asogah ha'atzilus. Is in general the comparison, the concept of hasogah, as it is in biyah. Biyah means in the created realm, even the higher level, B'riyah. Nonetheless, it's a created realm. As we pointed out, B'riyah is called Olam HaMachshava. And the Machshava itself, there are different levels, but Machshava is also a creation. Legabe HaHasogah Da'atzilus, relative to the Hasogah, the way it is Atzilus, where it is an internal Hasogah. Shein b'hu-husagah klal. The Hasogah, the way it's in Atzilus, is not hu-husagah klal. Is not at all in this sense of reality. The k'mei shehagos seinu hu-husagah acheres legabe hasogah dem is beyond the haruchim. just as our comprehension is a completely different realm of truth, Hasagah, relative to Hasagah the way it is in the higher world, in the Ruchni's aspect of the world. In the Ruchni's aspect of the world, Emes B'Yah Ruchni. That's brought down here in such a brief reference. Nonetheless, he's taking it for granted that we will understand what he's talking about. There is Olam es Biyah, Brio Yitzir Asiyah, all three created worlds, Haruchniyim, but in the Ruchnistic realm. To enter into this too far we can, but just want to make a point. Something which we already encountered way before. We said that a home goes through several stages before it becomes a home. First, it is an empty lot. I'm not even talking in terms when it is part of the wilderness. Let's come into, so to speak, into a civilized area. It is part of this, so to speak, of the metropolitan area. A place where it makes sense that you should build a house. But it's still not developed. You can have this kind of areas even here in Brooklyn. It starts from that stage. And then it becomes charted out. The government is not going to let you build a house any place you want. It has a chart of how this is designed, and it gives you a permit to build a house right here. Because it has a chart, it has a view of how this area is going to be plotted out. With roads, with access. You're not going to be a single house. You have to permit, it's going to be a whole development. And in order to allow for development, every house has to be plotted exactly the way it's been. It shouldn't interfere with the rest of the development. At that point, this whole development is a chart in somebody's mind. But that somebody sees it as very clearly. Let's take it down further. You finally got your permit, and you plotted out the house, and you built the house. The house is now standing here, and it's empty. As soon as the house is built and you enter the house, you immediately begin to visualize all the furniture that this house is going to house. And this visualization is very real. So that if somebody brings a piece of furniture and he wants to put it down, he says, no, wait a second, this is not where it belongs. Why not? It's open. No, this is not where it belongs. There's a chart. There's a view of it. There's a reality to it. Like you pointed out, I've always pointed out, this is an important thing to understand. And you put the table down. The table is not just the table, has room for the table. You put the table down, you have to have a view of how the table is in proximity to the rest of the room, so that number one, it will provide for everything else in the room, and it will provide for access. To use a table is not a table unless you can put a bench next to it and sit next to it. All of that, relative to when the room is actually furnished, is like ruchnius. When you enter a room, which is a room, so to speak, properly handled, and you see all kinds of different pieces of furniture everywhere, you don't see the furniture. You see the design of the room. You see the concept of what this is all about. This is a dwelling. This is not a furniture store. This ruchnius level of your observation of your own room is much superior to the gashmius level of when it is actually set up the gashmius. The gashmius, you see the table after your table is there because it takes up room. The tangible presence. Ruchnius, you see a completely different reality. You see the human service, the human aspect of it, the beauty of it, the grace that it presents, the inviting aspect of that it invites a human being to come in there. Completely different realm. In like manner, there is on a much higher level, just as in this little motion, the sense and the purity of observing the physical layout of the room and the projecting of what this is about and how the human aspect of it is not comparable. Okay, the man has spoken.
Just like these two levels are not comparable.
K'moy ken, just want to finish this line, this phrase. K'moy ken ha-hasagah d'biyah. Likewise, the hasagah in biyah, just as the hasagah in Gabe Emes Haruchnim, biyah Haruchnim, and that comparable, similarly, the hasagah of biyah, hu-husagah me hasagah atzilus. It's a completely different reality than the hasagah way it is not serious. We can elaborate on it and bring back the human aspect. I'm going to leave this was discussed so many times already. in brief, the reason a human being needs a table and a bench and be comfortable is not because of comfort at all, but because of his status in the world, because he is royal. It's a dignity, the human dignity, which is there because he is a God creation. A completely different realm. And understanding that is really a different experience.
It correlates to the lower level, but there's some kind of parser between them.
That's right. It correlates. You can emulate. You can imitate it, but it doesn't. This is not the real thing.
Is
It
it the,
definitely correlates.
is it fair to say it is the manifestation on a lower level, just like the layout of the room is the manifestation of that vision? Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
But when you say that, you immediately have to put the qualifier. It's a manifestation, but on a totally different level, realm. Someone who comes into a room, but he does not see the significance of it. He begins to learn it by experiencing it. He will never get it. You should excuse me, I always feel bad. This is the realm of the idiot, unfortunately. Everybody can, this is the table, sit here. Don't sit here. That's not the human level understanding. We have to stop. I just want to get into the next street. This is what is meant to me say that a moshel he begins to speak in a different inyan. He's no longer talking about Atzilus. In order to go from Atzilus to Bria, you have to get into a different realm. You can't go a straight, a smooth sail from Atzilus into Bria. You speak about Eilmas B'yah HaRuchni. How will that reflect, like you said, reflect on a different level, but it's a reflection of it. This is it for this morning. Are you saying something? There is the way the Ruchnis is in the level of Atzilus, which is not on the worldly level as we know it, and then there is the Emes B'yah HaRuchni. Emes B'yah HaRuchni means, like I said before, when you in the moshel, this is going to be a human dwelling. You see the human being in this. You don't see how this is going to accommodate his sitting, his sleeping, his eating, and everything else. When you project the design of the room, this is also a ruchnim, but this is at the biyah level. You're not talking about human accommodation. You're talking about practical aspect what the human being has to do. This is a created level. And this is why it's called Emes B'yah HaRuchni.